Only on two, a local food vendor endures racial slurs and even threats.
Nasty Mexican dog, don't blast me, nasty Mexican.
I don't know why you hate us. Why do you hate us? Because we're Mexican?
This is my property and I'm in charge of...
You just think it's your property because you're a Mexican.
Oh, really?
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists.
Ochoa was born and raised in the San Fernando Valley.
Stereotypes in the U.S., in particular Mexican stereotypes in the U.S., are experienced and viewed in many different places. In workplaces, schools, news, movies, pop culture, and even in public areas like, say, a grocery store. Stereotypes are negative connotations towards specific groups of people who are part of a marginalized minority group, into some recent events that include negative behavior involving discrimination within various news outlets, political leaders, and personal insights from people who have experienced and encountered discrimination because of certain stereotypes brought upon the Mexican community. In Barbara Love's argument about the tools of majoritarian storytelling in her work Brown Plus 50 Counter Storytelling, a critical race theory analysis of majoritarian achievement gap story, she explains how majoritarian perspective does not allow any insights from a minority perspective. In doing so, this ultimately creates a form of discrimination, and in this case, the achievement gap in white education versus minority education. The same goes for Mexican people living in America, except it's not only in education, but there is a gap in employment, housing, communities, and even out in the general public. Stereotypes in this context have caused the majority to believe that Mexican people are incapable of achieving goals at the same level, and even go as far as viewing minorities as sort of second-class citizens. The way majoritarian perspective perceives Mexican communities is very different. It is a connotation that is very negative, but they're all based on stereotypes. So the real question here is, how can these negative stereotypes of Mexican culture from politics, news outlets, and pop culture affect people's perceptions of Mexicans and Mexican Americans in the U.S.?
Hola.
¿Qué estereotipos has visto recientemente en las noticias y en la tele?
Bueno, pues en las noticias y en la televisión muchas veces vemos noticias que quizás atacan a veces a los mexicanos o diferentes razas y podemos ver cómo a veces se abusa de las personas y esas son las noticias que a veces miramos y que nos conciernen también a nosotros, porque de cierta manera a veces nos sentimos atacados también por a la misma vez que están enseñando esas noticias y nos sentimos atacados de esa manera.
La discriminación de la gente que vende los puestecitos de fruta en las calles grandes que sale de los caminos de avenidas, que hay gente vendiendo frutas. Mucha gente les dice chingaderas o llega la policía y se llevan las frutas. He visto que el otro día salió que un asiático le aventó la comida al que estaba vendiendo ahí, lo corría y lo golpeó al paisano.
Recently in the news or on TV, I don't really watch news a lot or TV, but I watch social media, and something that's been coming up recently or that I noticed is the hot dog man, the taquero, the street vendor. That's what I've seen, and I actually had an experience not too long ago when it was a couple that was complaining about the hot dog man outside of a Walmart store that was just kind of like complaining like why was he selling? He probably didn't have permit, all the hygiene protocol. Maybe he wasn't even following the hygiene protocol. So yeah, it was just like I'm like, oh, okay, so this is happening, like this. That's a stereotype that that it's common nowadays. And yeah, I mean, you see Latinos selling, you know, having contact stands or taco stands. So that's what I've kind of seen recently, not just in social media or media, but also around my neighborhood.
I really don't watch TV, but I mean, there is always something about Mexicans, about immigrants on news. When I hear like in the radio or something, but I really don't watch TV news.
Recently, some stereotypes that I've seen across social media, people acting like Mexicans, referring to Mexicans as being like girls, females to be exact, as cholas, with hoop earrings, hot Cheeto fingers, and super long nails. Very kind of ghetto, portrayed as ghetto, and yeah.
¿Cómo y cuándo te diste cuenta que hay un estigma contra los mexicanos?
Bueno, en mi vivencia hemos visto cómo en el transcurso de los años hemos visto cómo a veces se ataca a personas por solamente su raza o su color. Y realmente es algo que sucede cotidianamente en la vida de personas y nos sentimos a veces atacados en cierta manera en la forma de cómo se nos trata o cómo se nos mira o a veces se nos critica en cierta forma.
Porque no hablan muy bien el inglés, no hablan fluently en inglés, se encajan y no saben los derechos que tiene uno. Mi experiencia cuando trabajaba en otra compañía, el patrón les gritaba a los labels, les decía webpack y les decía cosas, o que se fueran a cortar aguacates al potrero. Eso es lo que tenía mala experiencia con el patrón que tenía antes.
How and when? Actually, now that I'm thinking back, my mom, she does house cleaning. That's her business. And several years ago, she was working for a teacher. She's really nice, and she recommended her to another teacher, friend of the teacher. And when she went to her house to give her a quote, she was asked to go inside the house through the back door. And she said that the experience was really uncomfortable because she was asked, if I remember well, like her, if she had papers, her business license and all that. And to which, I mean, she is legally here, but just those questions, like her immigration status really was it made her feel uncomfortable. Just why did he ask? I guess the permit, the license. I mean, yeah, okay, do you pay taxes? But the immigration status was really just because it's a Mexican. That's when I realized, and that was maybe 10 years ago.
As soon as I started working here on 1996, 1997, there is always the people who has business. Sometimes they're looking for Mexicans because they know that we work hard and they can pay us low. So that's mostly of the reason why we always find a job even when it's not well paid. But they know that we are hard workers, so that's when I realized that it's something we carry, but we don't really put attention on it because we need to work, we need the money, we need to support our families. So that's when I realized that they take advantage of it. Yeah, it happens many times. I have seen in the job what I was doing when I was working in horses, there is people who live in the barns, like in, and not quality living. It's just like a room with a bed and something like really, really low quality living. But it's part of the boss to do that, to say, okay, I let you live in my barn, but I have to pay you less still, on top of everything. So it's part of it. And then, like they say, if you don't work for me, you don't get that. You don't get all this what you have, because they think they're doing something big for us.
I actually realized this and experienced this myself when I was younger. I was probably about 9 to 10 years old, and I had a conflict with one of my neighbors, and she ended up getting upset at me, and she called me a beaner. Go back to Mexico, and yeah.
A veces los mandan en los trabajos días festivos, siempre ponen a los que es mexicanos, ponen a trabajar, nos dan días de descanso. Y no les interesa a ellos que sea día presidencial o día de Martin Luther King, no, eso no, o día de los veteranos, no lo respetan.
Yeah, I think right now I can think of 2 instances that happened when I felt that. One was when it was an immigration checkpoint. So normally you just, they have this checkpoint and everybody just goes through. The border patrol officer just tells you to keep going, right? So that day I was driving my dad's work truck. I was wearing a hat and he made the sign to stop. So I started laughing and I was whatever. So I was gonna start reaching for my wallet to get my ID, and so I was just kind of like laughing. The border patrol officer noticed that and he just kind of was like, "Never mind, just keep going." And another one, this happened with my family. We went to this restaurant. There was no waiter, and then a couple of white couple came also. So my family and that couple were waiting for the waiter. When the waiter came, he turned out to be white, about his mid-20s. He didn't ask who got there first. He just asked the couple to follow him right there and then. And he was like, "Why? You didn't even know who got here first." So those 2 are the ones that I can think of. So
there is always something about that, because I mean, like even like the cops, when they saw you driving, if you do, it happened to me so many times. When I was driving, like I have the cop on my side, then I have it in front, I have it in the back. He's looking for something to stop me, for a reason to stop me. One time I got stopped because they said, "Oh, your license plate is a little cover in the corner so I can see the numbers well," which wasn't true. Because like they say, like the frame was covering the plate. I'm like, it's not covering, but he wants a reason to stop me, because he saw me Mexican, and he saw me, I was with another 3 guys in my car. So, and as soon as he stopped me, they show up another cop. Like, I'm like, what the heck? I'm just a traffic stop or something. And it was for no reason. So by then, I already had papers, and the 3 guys who were driving with me, they had papers. But that was the reason they stopped me, because there was no reason to stop me. There was no traffic violation or anything. But I realized that, okay, this is something that they just do because in the way we look, because we look Mexicans, we're coming from work all day and all that. So it's always something. And that then like sometimes when you ask for something, I don't know, like an office or something, there is always like they give preference to white people. They put you on the side, like, "Oh, can you wait for a little bit?" It happens, I don't remember where, but I remember one time I was first, I got there before some other guys, and they were white, and then I'm like, I was waiting more, and the other people went in, and I'm like, what the heck? I mean, when I'm going in, oh, just wait a little bit more. And well, I was here before them, so why are you doing this to me? But they'd always find a reason to cover them, to cover what they do.
Yes, I have. I've actually, my work, I felt like I'm not given the same amount as credibility as someone who else who does the same job as I do. Just because I'm Latina, I'm not seen as credible as the others who are the same position.
Bueno, sí, muchas veces quizás cuando llegabas a un lugar, ¿verdad? A alguna tienda, a algún supermercado, quizás a veces hasta en la escuela, ¿verdad? Cuando empecé a ir a la escuela nos sentíamos como que nos atacaban en cierta manera por solamente nuestra raza, por ser mexicanos, ¿verdad? Se nos atacaba en cierta manera o se nos hacía menos. Pensaban que nosotros éramos una raza inferior o una raza baja, ¿verdad? Que no teníamos los mismos derechos que las mismas personas que viven en este país. Pero todo eso realmente no tiene nada que ver con la forma de vivir de cada uno de nosotros, porque juntos podemos ser mejores siempre.
Ok, gracias.
Gracias.
To conclude this conversation about Mexican stereotypes in the US, it is very important that we take into account all perspectives, especially the ones that get washed over. There should be less of a stigma and stereotype of minority groups because most of these stereotypes come from a place of hate or even false assumptions of groups that are not entirely true or not even true to begin with. Each and everyone's perspective is valuable. We should learn based on positive experiences rather than negative assumptions and stereotypes about minority groups.